I'll bring up my cousin, Wesley Etheridge, who we have conversations for, I don't know, 3-4 hours by the cliff. So you have to time the call. Like, I'm not calling Wesley until next month, where I have to set aside like 4 hours. And it just doesn't stop. So we talk about all things, all different types of things. And I asked her to come speak. We all talk about, we know, like, you'll say like all those Christians or those church people, you know? I believe she has another view on things, you know? Outside of the walls, you know? Still as a believer. And we do need to hear everybody's point of view, you know? For if we all thought the same way and did the same thing, we'd all be in trouble following the wrong person. So, with that, I want to bring up my cousin, Wesley.
Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, beautiful people.
Good afternoon.
One of the, originally I was going to talk to you today about just religion in general, fill you in on some of the conversations that Philip and I have over the phone. And, but before I do that, I wanted to just read a little bit of an article that appeared in the New York Times this past Tuesday. Title of this article is "Big Drop in Share of Americans Calling Themselves Christian." In general, and particularly young people, there seems to be, because of the way the world has changed, and the world has changed greatly. If you look at what the attitudes are towards LGBTQ community, if you look at how many people choose to live together before they get married, there are different, it's a different world out there. And young people claim that in increasing numbers that religion doesn't address the world that they live in. Now think about it. Young people, and we didn't, I'm 56, so people my age, older, we did not have ready access to the internet. Young people have access to the internet now, and they can get answers, complicated answers to questions. Why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? Where before, you know, it would suffice, you know, because God made it so. No more. That's over. That's over. Right, Kwame? And so these young people feel like religion is not answering the questions that they need answered. Some young people feel that religion is too preachy. How ironic. And those of us who have raised teenagers, we know there's a point in their life when they are rebellious. Anything you tell them not to do, that's what they want to do. So they have this kind, again, armed with all of this information. Some of it's from morons, but anybody can tweet, anybody can post anything on Facebook with their opinion, informed, true or not. This is what these young people are dealing with. And they feel, again, they feel that, you know, if going to church, being part of a religion means giving up their identity, giving up, and also they have greater interactions with people who have different opinions. And again, when they place that against that which they're learning or in church, or what they hear from people who do go to church, they're not satisfied. Now, there's also, there's saying there, religion represents, there's a political backlash against conservative values. And in the interest of full disclosure, I am as liberal as you can get. So when you have a conservative person telling young people that they should just shut up and do what they're told, that is that's something that they are not willing to do. They're not willing to sacrifice, and and as we know, there are some young people who will have some words for people who tell them things like that. In the past, it was believed that as young people got older, they would turn to the church for some of their answers. Again, with the world the way it is and the access to information being what it is, that is not so. So there is a greater number of young people not going to church, or like me, do I go to church every Sunday? No. Do I believe in God? Yes. Why? How can I believe in God and not go to church? There are some things that technology and science do not answer. For example, love and loyalty. Think about it. Science tells us if you want the herd to survive, you leave the old ones behind. You leave the sick ones behind. You leave the young ones behind because they can't run, they can't defend themselves, so they slow up the herd and make them more liable to be slaughtered by much larger animals. But there's something out there that tells us, that makes us love our babies, our young people, our elderly people, and we want to bring them along. So again, science and technology cannot answer that. So for me, that's my journey began there. I mean, I was baptized in church. I was, and over the years, they're like everybody. You've had problems in your life, and I've strayed away. But always, my faith is there. I know. I mean, my son asked me, when he was much younger, how do you know there's God? I said, I just know. And that has to, be enough. That's enough for him. He gets it. So he gets it. But I wanted to mention that this article, because again, if you're losing young people, they're not coming back. So there has to be another way of communicating. And again, Philip and I have these conversations all the time. There's got to be another way to communicate with young people to make them feel welcome under the tent. And right now, perhaps that's not happening. One of the things that I think about, I'm an avid dog lover, and I watch Cesar Millan. I don't know if everybody knows Cesar Millan is. He's somebody who trains dogs who are in what he calls a red zone. These dogs attack people for whatever reason. And Cesar Millan says there's nothing wrong with the dog. There's something wrong with the owner. The owner is not communicating the right energy. It's not coming correct at the dog and making them realize that they can live in a world and be at peace. And so what he suggests, again, is changing the owner, changing the way the owner has a mental conversation with the dog. Because a dog respects energy, being positive, and he shows these owners how to communicate. I think something like that is going to happen. There's going to have to be a change. As the world has changed, access to information has changed, young people's lives has changed, there's going to have to be a different kind of conversation with them. Otherwise, you're going to lose them for good. The good news is, despite the title of this article, by the way, about less people identifying themselves as Christian, is the fact that young black people are not abandoning the church in those numbers. Because, and think about it, when there are things, again, that cannot be explained through intelligence and information, they turn to the church, especially in times of distress. And the distress for these young people, as we know, is that a whole lot of them are being killed by policemen on the streets. And they don't understand why this is happening. Well, they understand why it's happening to them. You know, we have, unfortunately, a culture of slavery and disrespect for black people in general. And again, internet does not, as a matter of fact, on the internet is where they encounter people who basically say, hey, if you weren't doing anything wrong, this wouldn't be happening to you. And that's, so the internet is not enough for them. So we're not, the church is a place that they can turn to. Young gay people say the church is a place where they can come to. You know, sometimes they have to keep their sexual identity secret because there are some people, they say, in the church who are not very receptive of their lifestyle. But they go to church anyway because, again, it's a very good place to commune. And I don't want to, you know, belabor the point and, you know, stay up here very long. He did tell you we can talk for 2-3 hours. But the message that I want to get across is, you know, young people need you. Young people need you to let them worship the way that they know how, the way they want to. And once they get comfortable, you know, they'll be more and more willing to join the church or community or whatever it is you want. So please just kind of keep open minds and have the right energy when you speak to young people, and you know, they'll be on point. They'll be with you. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.